Today we are going to try and make a cake roll. We've never successfully made a cake roll before. Today may be the first time. So what we did first was bake our cake. This is a lemon cake. It's going to be a lemon strawberry cake roll with white chocolate frosting. So we're going to take the cake apart, crumble it up to our bowl. These are pretty good size pieces. Try not to slap it all over like I did. Someone's laundry's done. And I keep crumbling this up here in the pan. It's cooled down considerably before you start your cake roll. After you've made your cake, you're going to want your cake to cool down. Break these up a little bit, these crunchy end pieces. Okay. I found a couple recipes where they use milk, and we're just going to do a little bit at a time. In here is 1 cup of milk. We're going to, take it right off. We're going to squish it around in there. So it's almost like the consistency of Play-Doh is what you want it to turn into. You want it to be nice and firm. You come and add some more milk. Just a little bit more, drizzle some in there. Kind of Play-Doh or cookie dough. Go ahead and add the rest of it in there. So you're going to knead it like bread dough. For those who haven't made bread dough, you're going to take it from the top and fold it to the bottom and press it down. It's going to look like this. It's going to resemble bread dough or cookie dough. I'll put that to the side here real quick so we can lay down our parchment paper and clean my hands off. Dry my hands off here real quick and clean out the counter so I can lay the parchment paper down. I'll roll out our parchment paper here. Go on. crumblies here. Get them stuck up with the rest of the cake. And we're going to just roll it out. Nice and gentle. Nice thing about parchment paper, you don't have to put anything non-stick on there. We're going to, for your cake roll, you're going to want to roll it out pretty thin. Not like too thin or super thin, but pretty thin. If you're getting close to the end, you can apply a little bit more pressure on the side that's a hair too close to the edge. And bring it over to the other side. Too much pressure. There. They're nice and flat here. And then the imperfect edges, you'll just cut right off so it makes a nice, perfect square almost. Or rectangle, I should say. Just going to score it here and try to make it as even as possible. Put this off here. And don't worry, it's not a waste. I got plenty of people around here who will eat this here. Back in this bowl here. So now we've got our cake roll piece ready. Hold this here. Give myself some more room. We got strawberry pie filling left over from Christmas cookies last year. We made kolaches and thumbprint cookies. Add that into a bowl. And add our whipped cream to it. Now you don't want your cream or your whipped cream to be frozen. You want it to be refrigerated. So we didn't freeze this, but at the grocery store, their freezers aren't always the greatest. So it's a little hard in the middle. Just want to whip it like this. Fold it into one another. Go the front to the, or the back to the front. Just keep spinning around the sides to make sure you got it all. If you're doing anything for 4th of July or you have a family reunion, open house, anything coming up, this would be a good addition. Then you can do different for the holidays. Nice spice cake with cream cheese. Maybe some cinnamon and nutmeg mixed in with the cream cheese. Or some brown sugar for your filling for your spice cake. All great ideas. Get this pretty mixed up here. Spoon it on there. Spread it out. This you want to spread kind of thin because as you roll it up, it's going to squish out your filling. I'm going to turn it this way here. So we're going to use our parchment paper to roll it. So you're going to want to put your hand and forearm underneath. Keep your parchment paper out of the way. Give it a nice clean edge there. And then a nice little roll. Press down just a smidge, not too much, you don't want to break it like I did right there. Cake rolls are hard because they're delicate. And again, this is our very first time ever making one. There we go. We got our cake roll. It's not perfect, but there she is. I'm going to slide her back this way here real quick. The nice thing about this is we're going to cover this up with dark or white chocolate almond bark that's melted, so no one will ever see this if you drizzle it right. So these ends that aren't quite perfect, trim them off. Whoop. Maybe not. That one looks pretty good. So, our first time making a cake roll, like not an entire fail, but not perfect. So let's slide this over. Get our bark melted. We're going to melt it in a measuring cup for the spout to make it easier to drizzle. Now with almond bark, you only want to do it for like 15-20 seconds at a time and stir it. If you heat almond bark up too much, you'll burn it. Either you'll physically burn it and you'll smell it and it's black, or when you go to stir it, it won't stir. It'll be dry. So you want to be careful to stir real good, heat it up for just a few seconds at a time, and then stir it again. This is what it looks like after 15 seconds. And almond bark can be deceiving. Sometimes it'll melt in the middle, or sometimes it'll melt on top. It won't melt on the bottom, so you have to be careful. starting to melt a little bit on the bottom and on the sides. Yep, and right there it was. I wish I had a better camera and you could see it. When I pushed on it, the whole middle popped out. I don't know why almond bark does that. Just going to set some down here. We're going to keep going just a little bit at a time. Right? No, John. Hey, looks pretty good for our first ever attempt. Well, not really our first ever attempt. The last time we tried to bake one, it was a little more elaborate. And instead of using a box cake and adding milk to it to soften it up, ooh, that looks good. Just want to whip it here a little bit. You baked the cake flat. We forgot to add something. We had enough eggs, and there was, I think it was the flour or sugar we were missing, and we just made a giant omelet. And take our icing.